Growing up, I always felt like the extra piece in my own family. Not unwanted, not exactly, just optional. The quiet one. The good kid. The Jake will be fine, brother. My older brother, Ryan? He was a walking hurricane of charm, recklessness, and drama. He'd breeze into a room, drop some half-funny, half-offensive joke, and somehow have my parents rolling with laughter even after wrecking Dad's car or failing another semester. Me? I got B's, then A's. I did my chores. I got a job in high school and saved up for college while Ryan was bailed out over and over again. My mom would clutch her chest dramatically every time he disappointed her, but she'd always make his favorite dinner that night. I was the one who quietly passed on going out to pay for his car repairs. I never once got that dinner. I didn't hate him. I just couldn't understand how someone could give so little and be loved so loudly. By the time we were in our 20s, I'd started 2 small businesses, nothing flashy, but stable. I moved out, lived cheap, reinvested everything. Ryan was in and out of failed ventures, a podcast network, an NFT startup, a fitness brand that somehow involved mushrooms. My parents funded everyone, or rather, I did, indirectly. Because when Ryan crashed and burned, he always landed back home. Rent-free. Utilities paid. And when my parents' savings unexpectedly dried up, I stepped in to help, quietly covering their mortgage once, slipping mom grocery money, paying off a high-interest loan my dad refused to talk about. Ryan's just figuring himself out, they'd say. You've always been so stable, Jake. We're so proud of you. Proud enough to ask me to co-sign a loan for Ryan's new business idea, but not proud enough to tell their friends what I actually did for a living. I was just Jake, the computer guy or something. I told myself it didn't matter. That being needed was a kind of love. That one day they'd see what I'd done, not because I craved credit, but because I wanted to matter. I kept my head down, kept building. Every time Ryan failed, I picked up the pieces behind the scenes. Every time he called me robotic or said I had no soul for risk, I swallowed it. Family was worth it. That's what I told myself. Until the night I realized I wasn't their second son. I was just the backup plan. My mom's 60th birthday was supposed to be a celebration. That's how she put it in the group text. Just family, just love, no drama this time, promise. I spent 2 weeks designing a custom gift, a memory album with photos from her childhood, scanned letters from her late mother, little mementos I'd gathered over the years. I had it handmade, leather-bound, stitched with her initials. I even included a small plaque at the front, to the woman who gave us everything from the one you never had to worry about. That last line was a joke. Sort of. We met at an upscale restaurant they picked, the kind where the menu has no prices and they act like it's rude to ask. My dad insisted it was all taken care of, that they were hosting. I offered more than once, but got the same response. Jake, let us do something for once. So I just smiled and showed up. Ryan walked in 15 minutes late, wearing a leather jacket over a wrinkled t-shirt like he was about to hit an open mic. He brought some woman I'd never met, third girlfriend this year, and kissed Mom dramatically on the cheek like he was a returning war hero. I sat across from them, trying to ignore how everyone leaned in toward him, laughing at every ridiculous story. At one point, he started telling the table about his latest venture, some kind of crypto app that helps influencers monetize their personal journey. Whatever that means. When the waiter brought out the cake, Mom gave a sweet speech. Then it was Ryan's turn. He stood, raised his glass, and smiled. To Mom, the only woman who ever loved me unconditionally. Even when I was a screw-up. Even when I failed. Even when I crashed my car, or Jake's. People laughed. But seriously, he continued, nodding toward me, to my brother, the guy who thinks money makes him worth something. Always grinding, always counting. You're like a human spreadsheet, man. We love you anyway. The table held. Even my dad chuckled. I didn't. I looked around and realized no one was going to say anything. Not a word. I was the punchline in a room full of people I'd quietly held together for years. So I stood up. By the way, I said, pulling out my phone, this dinner you told me not to pay for? You charged it to my card. Again. Everyone went quiet. I'm done. You'll need a new fallback plan. I left before the check came. In the parking lot, I sat in my car and stared at the dashboard, letting the silence settle. Not angry. Just empty. Years of giving. Of swallowing. Of fixing. And I was still the joke. That night, I froze every automatic transfer. Canceled the backup cards I'd given them. Blocked Ryan's number. If they wanted someone to mock, they'd have to do it without me footing the bill. I walked for hours that night. past closed shops and glowing windows where families sat around TV screens, laughing. I kept thinking about how fast the room had turned on me, or maybe it never turned at all. Maybe it was always like that, and I just refused to see it. The next morning, the messages started. First from Mom. Jake, please don't overreact. Ryan didn't mean it. He's always been that way. Can we talk? You're still part of this family. Then Dad, you embarrassed everyone. That wasn't the time or place. You know we appreciate everything you do. You're just hard to talk to sometimes. And then Ryan, of course. LMAO, so you're really gonna ghost us over a dinner bill? Guess money doesn't buy a sense of humor. Grow up, man. No apologies. No accountability. Just deflection, guilt, and a casual rewrite of the story where I was the villain for finally saying no. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Every message felt like another brick being cemented into a wall I hadn't meant to build, but couldn't ignore anymore. I opened my laptop and started typing. Not a reply. A list. Line by line, I documented every loan, every bill, every quiet favor. The $3,000 I wired to Ryan after his business partner ran off with their seed money. The utilities I paid for 9 straight months when my parents forgot to budget. The old laptop I gave Ryan, the website I built for free, the weekends I spent fixing their broken printer instead of going on dates or sleeping in. By the time I finished, it was 12 pages long. A spreadsheet of silence. I added a title, The Things I Gave That No One Noticed. And at the bottom, I wrote one line. None of it was ever about the money. It was about being seen. I didn't know what I'd do with it. Maybe nothing. Maybe it was just for me. But it helped. In the days that followed, I stayed quiet. No dramatic announcements, no social media rants. I just stopped holding it all together. The group chat dried up without my reminders and calendar invites. Ryan's posts grew more erratic, motivational quotes mixed with complaints about fake people. My parents reached out less. I think they thought I'd come crawling back, like I always did. Instead, I started sleeping better, eating slower, thinking clearer. I thought about how strange it was that pulling away felt more like coming home than all the years I'd spent trying to belong. Maybe love without respect isn't love at all. Maybe it's just proximity. A week later, a manila envelope showed up at my door. No return address. Just my name in my dad's handwriting, tight, all caps, like he was writing to a lawyer, not his son. Inside were papers. Lots of them. At first, I thought they were some kind of passive-aggressive statement. Bank records to show I'd overestimated my contributions or something. But as I flipped through, I realized it was worse than that. These were mortgage documents. Pages and pages showing that my parents had taken out a second mortgage on their fully paid-off house 2 years ago. I stared at the loan amount, just over $120,000, and felt my stomach tighten. Why would they do that? And then I saw the transfer records. The money had gone straight into Ryan's business account. The failed podcast network. No mention of me. No heads up. Just a quiet, desperate decision to bet everything, their home, on the son who never finished anything. Tucked inside was a printout of an email. From Ryan. If Jake's really cutting us off, then we need to sell. He won't help again. It's time. He's made his choice. So let's make ours. Below that, one final sentence from my dad. Written in pen at the bottom of the page. Jake's done enough already. That line hit harder than all the betrayal combined. Because it wasn't kind. It was resignation. Like I was a tapped-out resource. Like I was a well that had finally run dry, and now they had to figure out another way to survive. Not grief. Not remorse. Just inconvenience. I sat there with those papers for hours. Not angry. Not even sad anymore. Just done. I called a lawyer the next day, a quiet, meticulous woman named Lena. I laid it all out. The house, the mortgage, the emails, the years of financial support. I told her I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to sue anyone or expose anyone. I just wanted to protect what was left. My parents were in over their heads, and Ryan would drain them dry if I didn't do something. Lena reviewed everything and said something I'll never forget. You've been the executor of this family without the title. Maybe it's time you make that official. So we got to work. We mapped out a strategy to buy the house myself, to pay off the mortgage, and put the property into a protective trust. Not to own it in a show of power, but to prevent it from being sold out from under them. To keep Ryan out. Legally. For once, I wasn't reacting. I was rebuilding on my own terms. The only thing left was to tell them. Ryan showed up at my door before I had a chance to reach out. No text. No warning. Just a knock. Late on a Thursday evening. like we were still kids and he needed to borrow something without asking. He looked different. Not disheveled, not yet, but tired. His hair was unkempt, his usual confidence dulled. I didn't invite him in. He gave me a grin that didn't reach his eyes. You win, man. Okay. You proved your point. Let's not let this get ugly. I raised an eyebrow. What part of this is a game to you? He sighed, leaning against the doorway like it was a performance. Mom and Dad are stressed out. They're not sleeping. You've made your statement. Now can we just go back to how things were? That phrase, go back, lit something cold in me. I stepped inside and came back with the folder. The manila one he didn't know I had. I opened it and spread the documents on the entryway table between us. Did you think I wouldn't find out? I asked quietly. He looked down, eyes darting over the loan statements, the wire transfers, the email he wrote. His face paled. I was trying to help them, he said. I was trying to do something. You think I wanted the house mortgaged? I didn't answer. I didn't think you'd actually cut us off, he added. You always come back. You always fix it. I nodded slowly. That's the problem. He scoffed. So what now? You're gonna buy the house and throw them out? Become the landlord of your own parents? I'm protecting it, I said. From you. That broke whatever politeness was left. You self-righteous little robot, he snapped. You think money makes you better than everyone? You think putting your name on the deed gives you a soul? I think paying for their future gives them one, I said. One they won't have if you keep bleeding them dry. He stepped closer, trying to tower over me. You don't get to erase me, Jake. I'm their son. I didn't flinch. So am I. You just never acted like it. He stared at me, breathing hard. Then his expression shifted, not anger, not sadness, just the hollow realization that the game was over. You were always jealous of me, he muttered. You had everything and still needed to be the hero. No, I said. I had nothing. And I stopped needing anything from you a long time ago. He turned and walked away. I watched him go. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel smaller after a conversation with him. I felt free. The house sat on the same quiet street where I'd grown up, same cracked driveway, same creaky mailbox that leaned too far forward. But walking up the path that day felt different. I wasn't returning as a son. I was coming as something else entirely. The paperwork was ready. Lena had drawn it up clean and tight, a full purchase of the property from my parents, with a trust clause that prevented any future loans, liens, or outside claims, especially from Ryan. I wasn't buying them out. I was saving what they couldn't. They knew why I was there. My mom opened the door, her face drawn. I was tired in a way I hadn't seen before. Come in, she said softly. My dad was already at the kitchen table, documents in front of him. No small talk. No one offered coffee. We sat. I slid over the final agreement. They read it in silence. When they reached the end, my mom blinked fast, like she wanted to cry but had run out of tears. You don't have to do this, she whispered. I do, I said. But it's not a gift. It's not a favor. It's protection. You'll live here as long as you want. No rent. No strings. But the house isn't Ryan's to gamble anymore. My dad didn't speak. He just picked up the pen and signed. My mom followed. It was done in seconds, but it felt like closing a book that had been open for too long. I didn't expect thanks. I didn't get any either. Just a quiet nod from my dad, and a hand on mine from my mom, brief, cold, then gone. The silence afterward wasn't tense. It was hollow. Like everyone finally realized how far things had gone, and no one had the energy to pretend anymore. I stood up to leave. My mom reached for the old album I'd given her on her birthday. It was still on the shelf, unopened. She held it for a second, then set it back down. Will we see you for Christmas? She asked. I paused. Maybe. She nodded like she already knew the answer. I left without looking back. That week, I finalized the trust, cleared the mortgage, and set up an account for property taxes and maintenance, automatic, sealed, untouchable. I gave Lena full authority to manage it. I didn't tell Ryan. I didn't need to. There were no dramatic blow-ups. No tearful reunions. Just a clean, legal line in the sand. I didn't cut them off completely. I wasn't cruel. I still answered calls briefly. I still sent birthday cards signed, not personalized. But the boy who kept giving in hopes of being seen? He was gone. What remained was a man who knew what he owed and what he didn't. It's been 9 months since that day. I live alone now, in a modest place across town. The kind of home no one drops by unannounced. Quiet. Clean. Mine. Most days are simple: coffee, work, silence. I take walks. I read more. I don't wake up dreading my phone buzzing with another crisis only I could solve. The house is still in their name on the mailbox, but I manage everything from a distance. They've adjusted. No more urgent calls. No more guilt trips about family responsibility. Just the occasional voicemail from my mom. Updates about the garden, the neighbors, the weather. I don't answer often. Not because I'm angry, but because I'm at peace. Ryan vanished for a while after our last conversation. I heard he tried moving in with a friend, burned that bridge, and eventually settled into a short-term rental somewhere downtown. We haven't spoken since. I assume he knows by now there's nothing left to take. And then, in mid-December, an envelope arrived. Just a card. Simple, white, no glitter or tinsel. My name in my mom's cursive. Inside, one line. We didn't deserve your grace. But thank you anyway. No signature. No plea to come back. Just that. I stood in my kitchen holding it, waiting for the flood of emotion. Anger, grief, hope, something. But none came. I filed the card in the same drawer as the mortgage records and the birthday album, not out of spite, but because it belonged with the story I'd already finished writing. I didn't call her. I didn't need to. I know she meant it. In her way. There was a time I would have clung to that sentence like a lifeline. Replayed it. Let it pull me back in. But now? Now I just moved on. Because here's the truth I wish I'd learned years ago. You can give everything to a family and still be treated like a stranger. You can sacrifice, support, forgive, and it still won't make them love you the way you hoped. Sometimes, the only way to heal is to stop performing, to stop fixing. Sometimes, peace isn't something they offer you. It's something you choose. And I finally did.